Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of On the Town with Suz and Doug. She is Suz, and I am Doug, and we're coming to you again tonight with another one of our kind of looking back at shows or movies that she and I watched growing up in the 70s. We can say that.
Yeah.
And tonight we're going to do something in that vein, but I'll let you tell the folks what exactly we're going to talk about.
We're going to talk about children's Saturday morning cartoons. So we're going to have
Yeah,
fun talking about all kinds of cartoons
Saturday
today.
morning used to
Yeah,
be. I don't know if they still do that on TV. I don't have a regular TV anymore. I haven't watched that in years. Do they still do Saturday morning cartoons on network TV? We're talking about
that's
network TV now, not
great.
cable or anything.
Oh gosh, that's a
You
great
ever
question.
turn it on and see? I have no idea.
Uh, I know they had Cartoon Network where you
Right.
could
Yeah, I'm
just
not talking cable, but I wonder if networks still run cartoons on Saturday morning. I kind of doubt it. I think they probably run
yeah
infomercials or
yeah
sometimes they do animal shows now on the weekends. I've heard of that,
yeah.
but back in the 60s and
Oh,
70s.
it was
Saturday
so
morning TV, 9, 7, let's say 7 a.m. to about 10 or 11 was
yeah.
cartoon, and a lot of them were really good. Not
They were
all of them, but a lot of them
good.
were really good.
Yeah. I used to I tell you, Doug, I really looked forward to it and it really meant a lot to me watching those yeah, I was like, this is so great. I love this. And
I'll let you go first. Which ones were some of your favorites growing up?
I love well see, I was always a Scooby Doo fan and so probably for me it was the old Scooby Doo, the original ones. And then they had one in the later 70s called The New
Yeah,
Adventures.
they brought it back, right?
Yeah, they brought back. And then this one was interesting because they would have like celebrities, like they were a cartoon, cartoon characters, but they would have celebrities
Right.
that were part of and or they would go like back in time. They could actually do time travel.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was really interesting. Yeah, they went back to
I never
many.
watched that show. I always heard about it, and it was
Yeah,
really one of the better written cartoons for kids, I guess. Right? They actually had plot lines and stories and stuff.
yeah, like mystery. I just always
Mysteries.
really liked it. Yeah, and my dad used to watch it too.
Oh, did
He liked the old. He used to get it. They had things like the Black Knight. Like what they would have like in the old adventures, they had like a museum, and then they would, and it was interesting because they would use words like archaeologist, and then for children, they would wonder what that is.
right?
And then I used to wonder, and then it was actually they were pretty good
A little
cartoons.
educational.
Yeah, for learning. And then it was like a thing where this Black Knight from England that was in the museum would come alive when it was a full moon. Some of them were kind of spooky, actually for kids and stuff. They had a couple that were pretty scary. Yeah, but they were mysteries. Some were not that scary, but some were a little more for a 3-year-old. I used to be like
Right.
3, 4. They were a little spooky. I might have been a little too young to watch them, but they were good. They were like the
Now, was
miss.
that all the kids in it? Were they all brothers and sisters, or were they just like a group of kids from
They
school
they were like a group of high school
or
kids
high school kids?
that
Okay.
would drive around in a van called the
Yeah.
Mystery Machine. So that yeah, it's kind of cute. So it was like a weird psychedelic uh, van, and what
Okay.
it was is you had Daphne, who was like the really pretty girl, the redheaded girl who was like a cheerleader, and then you had Freddie, who was a football player on the team, and he was like her boyfriend, and
Right.
you had Thelma, who was like the real brainy, the smart one, the
She wore
smart.
glasses, I bet.
Yeah, yeah, Thelma. And then you had Shaggy. Now his dad
I remember
was a
Shaggy. All right, he was kind of like the hippie
yeah,
looking.
the hippie, and Scooby was his dog.
That was his dog.
So
Yeah.
Scooby Doo, and they now Shaggy's dad was a police officer, and I think Scooby, because he was a Great Dane, had something to do with the dad. I think the dad
Scooby
got,
was he was smart. He was a
yeah,
smart
he was
dog.
a Great Dane. Yeah, but that was Shaggy's dog.
Okay.
And who else? So they had Shaggy, Thelma. It was four. They had
For
four
okay.
in the group, and they were all like, they would go to the malt shop, they would hang out, and then they would somehow always get involved in a mystery.
Right.
Every week, somehow these kids, high school kids, got involved with a mystery. Yeah, but it was
Now they were a half hour cartoon. They weren't just like 10 minutes. It was a whole half hour show, right?
hour. Yeah, they were a half hour. And I remember they had one that was really scary. It was like they had things like museums, like dark at night with
Right.
nights. When it was a full moon, the night would come alive. And it was kind of spooky. And then they
Yeah.
had this other one with a kind of a haunted house type of thing, and it was scary because they had monsters sometimes, and they would make noise like this, like and it would sound really scary for
Yeah.
like little. So they probably should have had an advisory on that one, like maybe kids 8 years,
Oh, right, right.
like I was little when I was like 3, when I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
3 and 4. Um, they probably were cartoons that would have been better for older
They're probably
kids.
geared for a little older, but you
They were
were
spooky. I was
younger
watching
watching. Yeah.
these,
Right.
yeah, because I used to watch soap operas at 3 too.
Yeah.
So
Right.
my mom let me do that. So I always like,
You
I
were
was one of
exposed
the,
to a lot of stuff when you were 3.
yeah, I
Soap
always
opera.
wanted to watch like adult thing. I was one of those little kids that always wanted to watch, like more
Well, they
like,
weren't, back then they were, I mean, they
yeah,
had weird stories, but they weren't quite what they became later. So you probably
yeah.
didn't understand a lot of it, which is probably good.
Yeah, I didn't understand. Yeah, I was watching Secret Storm and Edge of
Sure.
Night because my mom would have those on in the afternoon when she was doing housework and things like that around the house. So, before we had dinner, so I remember having these soap and just kind of have playing like in the den, maybe with Legos or blocks or
Right.
something, and then this would be on TV. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
watching this stuff. Yeah, it was funny. So
We talk about Scooby Doo doing the mystery. I remember one that I used to watch before, a little before you,
yeah.
called Johnny Quest, which was kind of a
Oh,
similar.
that was
Did you
really
ever watch
good.
that? It was kind of a similar thing. They go on these adventures. It was like Johnny Quest. He had his friend was like, I guess he was from India or something. He had like the turban on, and the
Yeah.
father was like a archaeologist, and they go all
Oh,
over the world, and they'd have these adventures. So similar to that. I think they had an animal in there, the pet in there too. I forget what the pet was. Might have been
that's
a dog, but it
yeah.
was similar to that. A half hour show, and they go on these adventures. Sort of a mystery show. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Johnny
remember.
Quest.
It's interesting, when I lived in Tampa on Cartoon Network, I remember they had like a revival. I
I
remember
think they
seeing
did bring it back later
Johnny
on, right?
Quest. It was like a updated, same thing, like this kid with
I
a
think that Haji, I think, was his friend, who was Indian, and Johnny was
oh,
like, American kid, like real blonde hair,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
father was like an archaeologist, and there might have been somebody else with them too,
Oh,
older
well,
person.
yeah, there was a lot of this yeah,
Yeah,
it was really
but it was,
popular.
intelligent cartoon. It wasn't, it was a
Yeah,
smart cartoon,
like
well written. Yeah,
like yeah, it sounds really good. Yeah, I'd love to see one of
yeah.
these.
That was out a few years before Scooby, so that's the one I watched. One of them I watched.
Oh, wow, that sounds like a really good one.
I remember Pink Panther. I used to watch that on Saturday
I
mornings.
liked Pink
Remember Pink
Panther.
Panther cartoons?
I love that. And it was really, that was such a good cartoon. There was no talking,
No talking, it was just the music, and everybody knows the Pink Panther theme, like jazzy music.
and you
And the
would have
Pink Panther was
laughter.
like, like
Yeah,
never talked, but he got in these adventures, and it was funny. Yeah. And
it
that,
was,
that little funny little French guy was always getting in trouble, Yeah.
and then I love the one with Pink Panther where they had this Halloween one where the Pink Panther somehow he's on an island, or no, he's walking and he comes upon this castle. It's supposed to be like Dracula's castle,
Yeah.
and he walks in and it's really cute, and he goes up the stairs and then there's a bed there, and he falls asleep because just I think it said Dracula's cat. It was so cute the way they, and then Dracula was like that little one that looks like Inspector Clouseau.
Yeah, little Clouseau guy. Yeah, yeah.
Fire. And then it was so cute. So Pink Panther, and then like they had the little castle window. So he's like laying on his back like he's sleeping, and then he had a can of Raid or something like that. So then the bat goes shh and sprays it in his face, and then the vampire bat coughs, and like he's the whole cartoon is he's trying to get bite Pink Panther, but
Pink
he's still.
Panther,
It was.
right?
I
And it was
really.
funny. I remember my dad watched that with me. I remember he was in the room. He thought those were funny too.
They were really, really cute. Yeah, I liked, and he was
But
so.
the thing is, there was never any talking. It was just all music and pantomime. Cartoon, but it's a pantomime. Yeah.
It was so cute, and the way they did. I love the music, dude. The
Yeah.
thing. It
It was
was.
that theme and then jazz throughout the whole thing. It was really good. Yeah.
It,
Remember the other one I watched was
uh,
Anthony Aardvark. Do you remember that one?
I remember that one, the aardvark. Yeah, I
But the
remember.
voices were Dean Martin was the voice. It wasn't him, but it was this comedian John Biner did the voice of Dean Martin, who
Oh
was
my
the ant, and Jackie Mason was the aardvark. But the aardvark was always trying to get to the ant to eat it, and he never could. That was the whole
Oh
thing.
my gosh, that sounds so cute. Yeah, they have these cute. I love these kind of. Yeah, these really
It was really
cute.
funny, but the
Oh,
voices were funny. It was like Dean Martin was the voice of the ant,
yeah.
an imitation of him, but it was funny. Yeah, and Jackie Mason as the aardvark, so it made it funnier.
That is so cute. I was trying to think. Oh, I love the. There was another one I liked, Josie and the Pussycats.
That one I never saw. I heard about it. That was kind of a girl rock group, right?
That was what that one was about. And I'd love to find that one on. It was about a girl rock group, and they went to. I think I remember watching one where they're in Tokyo,
Yeah.
and they would go like all around the world. It was almost like a Scooby Doo type thing, or probably like a giant where it's a girl group though, and they had this cat that was black and white. It was like a one half was almost like, and the cat would go like always cover its face and laugh. I think it was supposed to be a Siamese or something, because they had a lot of adventures like in the Orient or something. Maybe it was a Japanese cartoon or something, but a lot of it was like Tokyo and
Oh yeah.
and it was
They would
interesting.
always finish off with like a song, right?
Yeah, they did a lot of songs. I liked it because it was kind of neat seeing, and they would have like mysteries. So it was
Okay.
kind of like a girl rock band that was traveling around the world and doing tours, and then they would get into these mysteries. So it was kind of a cool, and like a lot of this where they're being
Right.
chased, or they're chasing someone, and it was, I think little girls liked it a lot too.
Yeah, that was a girls' cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the voices that was sang was Cheryl Ladd. She
Wow.
was one of her first jobs when she came to Hollywood.
Wow.
I heard her talk about it. She was the singing voice of Josie and the Pussycats. Yeah.
Oh my
So that's
God.
what you heard, singing. Yeah.
Oh
She
my
sings.
God.
No, a lot of people don't know Cheryl Ladd's a singer. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so interesting. I did not know that
It was
either.
way before Charlie's Angels, of course, a few years before that.
Wow, that is so interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really. Wow, that she did that. Yeah, it was a good cartoon. I did. It was a member. I liked Josie and the Pussycats, Scooby Doo, Johnny Quest sounded really good. That
Yeah, that was
sounds like
good.
like
Another one I
um
watched growing up, they had a Star Trek cartoon. They
oh,
brought it back after the original series went off
oh
a few
wow.
years later, and it was actually the voices of William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy,
Oh wow.
Dr. McCoy, DeForest Kelly, and
Wow.
a lot of the voices
See
that
that.
were the actors that were in the TV show did the voices. It was really good. Half-hour show. Yeah,
Oh
Star Trek.
my gosh, I would like to see that. Sounds good. Yeah, they had these great cartoon. These are good cartoons. I'll be
The
honest.
animation was a little cheap. Some of
Oh,
these cartoons, the animation was, you could tell, but
it's
they were better written.
yeah. Yeah, no, I got you. They were really there was another cartoon. Was it I'm trying to think. They had Super Friends was okay. That was the
Yeah, there are a
one.
whole bunch of different versions of all the superheroes, kind of
Yeah,
combining their abilities, right? And
yeah,
together,
Paul
work together.
Justice. Yeah, they had and they would
They all had individual shows, like Super Spider-Man had his own,
like
Superman cartoon, Batman had a cartoon,
Batman and that
Aquaman, remember? Yeah.
that was Super Friends was okay. I can't say it was. I was probably more into Scooby Doo and the Flintstones and
Yeah.
oh
Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
watch Super Friends. Yeah.
yeah, it was okay. I really loved the new. It was called the New Pebbles and Bam Bam Hour or something like that, but it was a spin-off of the Flintstones, and then that was Pebbles as a teenage girl.
Teenager, right. I remember hearing about it. I never saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, with their high school friends.
Right.
And that was really, it was mostly Pebbles and Bam Bam. And Fred and Barney and all were in it, but they were like secondary. And
Right.
it really had to do with the kids as high schoolers. So, and they had after school jobs and things like that. So you saw the parents, like when Fred, like Woman, like Pebbles would go and eat dinner with them and stuff. Hi,
Right.
Mom. That, but it was mostly just
Those are the
their
kids.
it was so funny, and then she had
Would
posters.
they would sing too, right? Did they sing in that one?
I
Yeah.
think they had a band.
Yeah.
They had a band too, so it was kind of cool. That I liked. That was that they used to have these great cartoons. Yeah, I
Oh,
really
yeah.
liked that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I wasn't really into I don't know why, like the Looney Tunes, like the older cartoons from Bugs Bunny and all.
Yeah, they had Bugs Bunny and Dabby Duck and all those. They would run, at least in New York, they ran them, I think during the week after school, you could see them. So, yeah,
Yeah,
those
with
were
the
on.
Pretzel folks and
I
all.
remember Underdog. Do you remember Underdog?
Yes, I
That was on
like
Saturday mornings. That was funny.
I liked Underdog. I liked this other one, Hong Kong Phooey.
That
That
one I
was
never saw. Yeah, I heard about
that
that.
was
Yeah.
really good. That was and I loved the song. It went like Hong Kong Phooey, number one super guy. And it was really cute
And what
because
was he, a karate expert? Is that what?
he was like yeah, and then the change in the Hong Kong Phooey. He worked at the police department.
Oh,
It was
okay.
really funny. And then he would go into the filing cabinet and change and turn into
And what
Hong
was he
Kong.
was he a dog? Or what was
He was
his?
a dog.
He was a dog.
I,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
he was a dog. I think he was a policeman's, the sergeant or something. It was their dog, but he talked,
Okay.
and then he would change into, and he drove a car. So, and he had a cat. That was the
We had a
weird.
cat.
He had this little cat. I think that, and then the interesting thing was the car. It was like it was funny. It had like a gong on it and everything, and
Yeah, I
it was
remember the gong. Yeah, I remember.
yeah
Right.
Chinese. I don't know how, but it was the song. You can hear the song on. It's really good. Hong Kong Phooey, number one super guy, and Scat. He did a great job with the voice, Scat
There's a
Man.
lot of them that you can
It was
find on YouTube now, which is good. So I've
it was
watched some of them later on. Yeah, right.
I really liked, and I think my dad used to watch it. I don't know if my dad really was into that one too much, but I
No, no.
watch Hong Kong Phooey.
And again,
Uh,
these are like the half-hour version shows on Saturday morning.
I said,
Uh,
well, another one I watched was Fat Albert,
Fat
but
Albert was another one before we knew
uh,
what Bill
it was
Cosby was
yeah.
doing.
It was. I mean, I
I did
probably
watch that. That was actually not bad. I did watch
yeah.
that. Yeah,
It was like I think because my dad was from Philadelphia,
right.
and I heard it was like it kind of was based on Bill
Based on his
Cosby.
childhood, his friends. That's what he
Yeah,
said.
growing up
Yeah.
in Philly because they would
No, that
play
was actually, and it was somewhat educational. There was always a little morality story,
reality store.
ironically enough.
Yeah, Fat Albert, and then Bill Cosby always would
He would
actually.
always come in at the beginning and at the end,
Oh,
live. He was also a cartoon version of himself as a kid in it, but yeah, right.
yeah,
I
and
think
it
he did
was
the voice. I think he did the voice of Fat Albert too. I think that was
it
him.
was really yeah, and they had like all the friends and I just
One
remember
guy had like hair over his eyes, and they had to cut the two spaces
that.
in his hair
So
so his eyes. That was kind of weird. He had weird looking friends in that show.
yeah, yeah, it was like that,
And
and
one guy kind of like had a weird way of talking.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
like. Then I remember
like you talk in
they
rhyme or something, and it didn't make
something
any
like
sense.
that.
But,
Yeah, it was interesting. I remember they used to play basketball once in a
always
while.
play basketball, right?
There was
Yeah,
basketball, or they
yeah.
play, and it was like a moral, like every.
There was a little morality story, at the end. Like the kids would learn something.
It
Too
was.
bad the guy that did the show, created the show, didn't learn.
That's the thing.
That was really sad and terrible, but what are you going to do?
What are you
We
gonna
didn't
do?
know that back then.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I will say definitely a thumbs up for the cartoons of that. Really, I feel bad for today's kid because it really was fun. It made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I
We're
really
not
liked it.
saying they were like, teaching you about physics or anything, but you got little lessons in them occasionally, a little educational value, and they were good. They were well
They were.
written for the
I
most
re-
part.
I remember Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah,
Was
the
like
one was Conjunction Junction. Remember that?
conjunction junction.
Yeah,
What's your function?
that's right.
And I
Another one
remember
was how a bill is made. Remember, like in Congress,
they
there was
had
another.
all the
Yeah,
yeah the
I'm
music.
just a bill, a lonely bill, and like a whole song. It was really good.
It
Yeah.
was really good.
You know who the guy was that sang that? Was he was on the Merv Griffin show. He's the trumpet player, Jack Sheldon. People out
Oh,
there might know who he is. Yeah, great
that's
jazz trumpet player, and he always had unusual voice singing. That was the voice of those Schoolhouse Rock. Yeah.
wow. Oh my God. Yeah, it was
Watch a
really.
Merv Griffin show. He was the kind of the heavy trumpet player.
Oh my God. It's
Little
so
trivia for people that you and I watch so much TV. We know all this stuff.
all this stuff. Yeah, I just remember watching these shows, and I had a little orange bowl that I would have like Apple Jacks or
Oh, sure.
one of the Fruit Loops or something. Or
That's another thing. We got to do cereals.
King Vitamin or yeah, oh, they were really good cereal. Yeah, King Vitamin. Like I said, I looked for that the last time I went food shopping. Didn't see it. Yeah,
No,
maybe.
I looked it up when we talked, and they discontinued it a few years ago. They don't make it anymore. Yeah,
King, yeah, because I have
but
not in a long time.
yeah, I looked up the history on Wikipedia. Had a whole article about it, and they
Wow.
said they had the cartoon face, and then they said who the guy was. That was the creepy looking guy. He was apparently some guy from the 30s and 40s that was in movies or vaudeville or something. It was
Oh
an
my.
actor, but he was creepy looking. Yeah,
Yeah, he kind of
yeah,
gave you the creeps. Um,
yeah.
for
So,
kids.
well, we'll do a whole video on the cereals sometime that we grew up with.
It
So
was
that's fine.
interesting. Oh my gosh, so they discontinued. I was wondering what happened.
Discontinued it, I think about, I don't know, 5 years ago, it said. Yeah.
King
It was
Vitamin.
a Quaker Oats, so, it was one of the main
Yeah.
cereal companies. It wasn't,
Oh,
so.
they discontinued. Yeah, another one I liked was oh gosh, yeah, they had some. Well, it wasn't really. It was called buckwheats, but that
Oh,
was
buckwheat, yeah, right, yeah.
in the '80s.
Well,
They used.
save it for the video. We'll save it for our cereal
Yes, next
story.
time.
But
Yeah,
we just
these
wanted to go through some of our favorite cartoons. Anybody out there, if you had any that we didn't mention, or you want to just write it in the little comment section on wherever you see in our videos or hearing our audio things. But there's plenty more we could talk about, but these are just the ones that kind of popped to mind on Saturday mornings. So there's a lot of cartoons that ran during the week too, like after
yeah,
school cartoons, but we'll
yeah.
save that for another show.
Aw,
Like you said, thumbs up to
thumbs up.
60s and 70s cartoons.
Yes.
May they bring them back today.
Yeah.
But
Aw,
check it out on YouTube. A lot of them are available there. So very
it
good.
was thumbs up.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again on the town. Bye for now.
Bye.